Hey everybody, Nick Yor here, joined by Coach Paul the Sixth Coach Jen Farello, boys basketball coach here on the Prep Zone. And Coach, thank you for joining us, and thank you for coming on.
I appreciate having me, Nick.
No problem. So we'll get right into it. You guys just had a big win over Bishop McNamara in the WCAC. What do you like that you saw to your team, and maybe some things you'd like to work on moving forward?
Yeah, no. So we've been battling all year. It's a great group of kids that are just fighting through some adversity with some injuries, and we need to kind of tighten things up offensively. We haven't been scoring the ball as well we were earlier in the season, so I'd like to see us play a little bit faster and get out and move a little bit more, get a better rhythm going offensively. And then our defense has been pretty sound, but obviously we could always be a little bit better heading into playoff time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Paul the Sixth head basketball coach Glenn Farello.
At DMVstream.com, we use state-of-the-art live streaming and video production tools to create an unparalleled viewing experience from local sporting events. Whether we're using our 12-foot HD broadcast production truck or employing one of our state-of-the-art flypack kits, our broadcasts always include multiple camera angles, instant replay, live scoring, graphics, and a complete broadcast crew working together to showcase the DMV's finest. Contact us today to learn more about our services and streaming packages. Visit us on the web at dmvstream.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to a very special edition of the Prep Zone as we are joined by Paul the Sixth head boys basketball coach Glenn Farello. And Coach, a lot of us around the area have been impressed with your team so far this season. You brought it up a little bit with that first answer, but you've done this despite some major injuries to some key players at the beginning of the season. What did you and your staff try to preach and try to do when those injuries happened to keep this impressive season going?
Yeah, so the two that we lost, Jeremy Roach, our junior point guard, and Anthony Harris, our senior two guard, the best backcourt in the nation in a lot of people's estimations. So there was a lot of firepower lost and a lot of experience, and so what we always do with our program is we have a lot of kids here that understand that we share the ball and we're going to play at a fast pace, and we don't just kind of move in one direction with just a certain couple players. So the guys that have stepped up this year have not. And there was a lot of them that were part of a state championship team last year, a team that went 18-0 in the WCAC regular season last year. So there was a lot of guys that have a lot of talent. It's not like we're devoid of talent. It's just a matter of getting those guys maybe further along than maybe two sophomores and a freshman might be ready for. So. But these guys are, like I said earlier, they're fighters, and they're willing to kind of step up and understand that they have more responsibility. And Anthony and Jeremy, to their credit, have been phenomenal in helping the young guys kind of get ready every day.
Yeah, this makes this start even more impressive, and it shows just what kind of depth and experience your program has all the way down. Just still an impressive start in season this year, 13-1, and the brutal WCAC with those injuries. I mean, just it's impressive. What do you think has been the biggest key to that impressive start in conference so far?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the guys have all kind of done it together. No one's trying to do too much. I think that Joshua Duro and Avery Ford are 4 and 5. They've been amazing on that back line, just anchoring things defensively, rebounding, playing with a lot of toughness. We've had to kind of change a little bit. We're not able to play as fast. We've always been one of the fastest teams in the country, and this year was going to be 100 miles an hour at all times. We don't have as much depth, so we've had to kind of dial it down a little bit. But I think that the kids are able to kind of make those adjustments, and there's a toughness about them. There's a brotherhood and a culture that the kids really buy into, and it's kind of fun to see. In fact, and then kind of just consistency of mentality coming out every day and expectations. They didn't want their expectations on what we're trying to accomplish for the season to be diminished or we're going to change things at all. Those standards are still just what we expected and hoped for. And to their credit, too, we just had our 32-game WCAC regular season conference win streak broken the other day, and that's amazing. The fact that we've had over 3 years, 32 in a row, in the best conference in the country, and 28 straight home winning a winning streak of 28 at home. In fact, nobody that dressed the other day when a streak was snapped had ever lost a home game at Paul VI, which is, again, it does just a testament of how these kids prepare every single day and fight for each other.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that winning streak. I mean, so well last year, and then continued it into this year, and then recently lost 2 to Matha, a huge high-profile game between those two schools, a lot of big matchups. What do you like and you saw to your team in that matchup despite the loss?
Yeah, I like that we kind of fought in the third quarter, kind of had some fight to us. We kind of picked up our defensive intensity. We were admittedly kind of overmatched at times in the first half and overwhelmed and didn't handle situations as well as we'd like. But there's no skipping steps in the process of getting better. And with the youth that we have, some guys that are stepping up in those new roles. It's not to be unexpected that they may have some times to where they're going to have to go through a learning experience. And DeMatha is a phenomenal team, and 3 seniors and 2 juniors that have a lot of experience. I think it showed the other day that they were ready for that matchup, and I'm hoping that we really kind of learn from that and carry it forward as we go through these next games, and we saw that bounce back last night. So it was a great atmosphere. It was a great opportunity for us, and we didn't compete as well as we'd like, but we also have to give a lot of credit to DeMatha. They're a championship caliber team, no question.
Yeah, certainly will be a lot of eyes on the rematch for that game. But I have to ask you about another recent win you guys just had over St. John's. A crazy finish. Trevor Keels hit the game-winning shot from it looked like about half court. How crazy was that game for you guys on the bench? And then have you ever been involved in a finish quite like that?
Yeah, so it was actually fun. It was a fantastic game, and it was one of those games too that St. John's would take a 4 or 5 point lead. We cut it to 2. We maybe tie it. That was our first lead of the game. Is that on that last shot? And, I thought the kids did an amazing job of just kind of have some stick-to-itiveness on the road in the WCAC and just never kind of gave up the fight. So when that shot went in, obviously pandemonium and the celebration. And Trevor's been carrying us so much. I mean, he's been playing just at an unbelievable level, but he just happens to make the plays at the right time for us. Obviously, that's one of the biggest shots ever. We had a buzzer beater here back in 2012. Patrick Holloway hit one against DeMatha at the buzzer that kind of we thought of. And after the game, we were talking about some of the best buzzer beaters. Kevin Dorsey back in 2013 beat Mount Verde on national television, the #1 team in the country and the Bass Pro Tournament champions. So we've had a couple buzzer beaters over the years, but I'll tell you what, that one the other day was really sweet.
Yeah, it was really sweet, especially on the road at St. John's. I mean, such great games each night in the WCC. It reminds me of the old Big East back in the day. Just every night there's a great game between one of you guys. And so we'll talk about some of those high-profile tournaments. You brought it up when hit a game winner against Montverde. You guys played Montverde again this year, in addition to another couple tournaments like the Hoop Hall Classic. What does big events like that do for your players and your program? What are you guys really trying to get out of that?
Yeah, so I decided years ago that I'd play anybody, anytime, anywhere, and that was back when I was at Eleanor Roosevelt. I wanted our kids to have just the best experience possible, to play against the biggest names and biggest teams, and have some fun. And one of the jokes we always have is does anyone ever know what my career record is? And no one does, because no one cares. So I don't care either. I want just the best opportunities for my players to be able to play against the best and test ourselves. And I think that's kind of the mentality is iron sharpens iron. If we get a chance to play in those events, it means way more than anything else we can possibly provide. So we love having the kids be able to play and have that showcase and have that opportunity. And win or lose, and sometimes they're going to get you, but I'll tell you what, it's an opportunity for them at a time in their development that they can kind of test themselves to see where they stand. And that litmus test, I think, is really important for 14 to 18-year-olds to see where they stand and what they want to dream about and what they're capable of. And then obviously you mentioned the Mount Verde game earlier this year. Here we are. We just had the second injury. Jeremy was injured right before the season started, and 2 games in, and our kids went out and battled and want to back down at all. And defensively, I thought put together one of the best halves that we've ever had. And being up 30-20 on the #1 team in the country was a heck of a start. And we weren't able to sustain it, but we hung tough and made a game of it. And I think it really kind of showed the kids that they can play with anybody and gave them a lot of confidence. Yeah,
it certainly does, and especially gets you ready for the conference schedule, which is the best in the country. Like you said, it's not even a drop-off when you go from those tournaments to the WCAC. And I got to ask you about another player on your team, freshman point guard Nasir McDaniel. He's been so impressive. How impressive you've been with this play so far this season then? And when you were recruiting him, did you think he could have this type of impact this early in his high school career?
So we identified that we saw what what he could do, and his intelligence, his feel for the game, his competitiveness. We all see his skill and his speed, but his mental makeup is tremendous, and his maturity. So when we were recruiting him, we knew he'd be very talented. What I certainly wouldn't have said that last year that I'd have these expectations, but during the open gym runs that we had in the fall, when Anthony and Jeremy were both healthy, when I was talking to them, neither one of them wanted to guard him, and so I was like, man, these are two of the best players in the country, and really truly two of the best defensive players at the guard position, and they don't even want to guard the freshman. I said he's going to be a handful for people. So we were actually really excited to have some, kind of designing some situations where all three of them, along with Trevor, all four of them would be on the floor together, and I think that would have been that'd be our own version of a death lineup. So in the fall, I thought we started seeing the signs of what kind of impact he could have, and I'm just really proud of him to be able to handle all that's been thrown at him, and I certainly have not held back as far as treating him like a freshman. I treated him like a point guard on a championship level team, and I think he's handled it really well.
Yeah, he's just been so impressive this season, in conference, out of conference, and so talking about just recruiting as a whole for you guys. How do you and your staff go about recruiting, trying to find guys that are only good fits on the court, but good fit overall at Paul VI? I read Washington Post called your program Guard U, so I know that's a big emphasis is recruiting solid backcourt players. But how do you guys go about recruiting just as a whole at Paul VI?
Yeah, one of the things we try to identify are kids that want to be part of something bigger than themselves. We try to stay away from families that are a little bit maybe too concerned about playing time or shots or wanting to have be able to be showcased themselves. It just doesn't work for us. So we're really kind of looking for people that want to play with other great players, and so we want to play in a fast-paced system, and activity level matters a lot. So we're going to pay attention to what kind of activity level that the kids have, and then we're going to try to recruit families and for that understanding of what we're trying to get accomplished, and so that we have a joy and there's no drama. There's too much drama nowadays in our sport, and so one of the most effective things that we can do is when we do bring kids in and they get a chance to see our kids and meet our kids and our current players. The current players will let me know, Coach, that player we don't really want him here. He doesn't fit who we are. And then the ones that do, they're all about trying to help us encourage those players to come join us. So because what we all see in the game of basketball, that chemistry matters, that brotherhood, and we have a family, and the kids do truly care about each other and take care of each other. So we're often talking to our current families and our current players to say, who have you identified, or what are you seeing? Because it's not just what's on the court. There's so much stuff goes off the court. And then my coaches are amazing. My assistant coaches do an amazing job of kind of canvassing the area and seeing where the talent is, but also getting to know the backgrounds on these families and these players to know, do they fit who we are? Do they believe in what we're doing? And are they going to buy in? Because you don't want to have to try to convince people that, this is the right fit. And there's so many great choices. Our league is phenomenal, as you mentioned, the best in the conference, or best in the country. And so there's a lot of great choices and great programs. And we often just tell parents, hey, we want you to choose us for you believing it's just the best fit for you. We don't have to try to be better than somebody, and it's just you got to find where you fit in the best. And so a lot of those conversations are had that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense a lot. And like you said, it's such a great area, so much talent for high school basketball in this area. So you guys have been so consistent over the years since you've been there. What would you say is the thing you're most proud of that you've been able to build at Paul VI in the 10 years you've been there so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's just the mentality of it, the expectations for what the players are going to go through. We've been fortunate to win a lot. There's obviously a resume that's been built, but I think more so is just of the consistency of that we are going to bring it, we're going to compete, and we're going to do it together. That they're going to play for each other, and seeing that kind of that brotherhood and how it's passed down, like the leaders, the Aaron Thompsons of the world, who's at Butler now as a sophomore, and his pride of being part of this and helping build our culture. And then Brandon Slater, who's at Villanova now, and how he kind of took it. Miles Latimer, who's at Stony Brook, and those guys kind of just took that ownership and having that ownership of this is who we want to be. So creating that culture and seeing that culture kind of started with the Eric Green back in the day, who played at Virginia Tech, and then Tillman Dunbar and Coleman Johnson, Stan Robinson, Jamal Robinson, Patrick Holloway. That was a group that kind of started this whole thing, and the faith and belief that they had in each other. But to see kind of that pride. So I think that's maybe the thing that I'm most proud of is just seeing that pride of being a Panther and doing what we do on a yearly basis. And the next man or the next team has that responsibility for what the others have done and come before them, and then make their own legacy and make their own, establish themselves. So that's been a lot of fun, I guess, is the 12 years that we've been here doing this, to see that kind of develop, and so this year really has come out because obviously with Jeremy and Anthony, there was an expectation that okay, now it's their turn to lead. They got a chance to watch the older guys, and now they've been put in position. Well, now that was taken from us. How are we going to continue to do that? And they've all done it together, and they've all kind of risen up together for each other, and so that puts us in a really good place going forward.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see you guys become one of the dominant programs in this conference there in Fairfax. So you guys have a very tough game coming up tomorrow versus arch rivals O'Connell. You guys won the first matchup on the road in Arlington. So what are you expecting to see this time around? Obviously, probably one of the biggest games for both schools every time these two come together.
It's such a great rivalry. The schools are so close, and in every sport it seems to be a huge rivalry. It's a lot of fun, and it truly is. I grew up in Ohio, so I always think Ohio State, Michigan, and just that battle that the kids get excited about, the crowd, the alums. Everyone gets in to enjoy this. So it's a great environment, great atmosphere. So we're really looking forward to it. We did obviously come back from a significant deficit, down 22 in the third quarter over at their place, to come back and get that victory. And that was the first game after Anthony had gone down. So we were out with both of them. So now we're a little bit obviously further in the season. Both teams are playing great basketball. And it's always you just never know. The atmosphere is always great. We've been fortunate. I think we've won the last 9 games in a row in the rivalry. So we need to make it another one in front of our home crowd. And we're really excited. The kids are excited to get out there tomorrow. And there's a buzz in the school here today as we're selling some tickets. And the 6th man will be out in force, and we're excited about that.
Yep, always a great game between those two. And, Coach, we'll get you out of here on this one. What do you think is going to be the most important thing for your team, maybe going beyond those expectations this year instead of last year and trying to win that WCAC tournament championship?
Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, our offense has not been clicking over the last couple of weeks. Our rhythm's been broken a little bit, and we're not quite as efficient as I think we can be. So we're going to have to kind of shore that up a little bit and figure that out. And then, but our toughness, I think, can carry the day for us, and our defense has always been something that we pride ourselves on. So I think the ability to go into February and get yourself to another level after you've established the foundation of who you want to be in December and January, you need to take that leap in February, and then it's a whole nother level when you get to the playoffs. And I think that will be interesting to see. Out of all teams have this challenge is who can really kind of rise up into those moments, and you need to play 3 great games. Someone's going to play 3 great games to win the whole thing, and you need to bring it every single day, and you have to find ways and manufacture some things. But someone's going to be able to put together a 3-game stretch that is going to be elite, a next level, and we're obviously hoping that we can find that. But I think that's the key, and that's the challenge for all of us, and we're looking forward to finishing out. We have obviously 2 tough weeks of regular season play. Position ourselves hopefully with a great seed, and then we'll battle like crazy for hopefully 3 days and see if we can't create some excitement.
Yeah, that's a great point. When it comes to tournament basketball, got to play great each day in a row, and that's going to do it for us with Paul VI head coach Glenn Farello. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you. Have a wonderful day, and I really appreciate the coverage and what you do for high school basketball.
Thank you. We appreciate everything you've done for Paul VI as well. And everybody, if you'd like to keep your eye on the Panthers the rest of the season, they are having a great season so far, and they will look to finish it up in the WCAC Conference Tournament. Remember, if you'd like to see more plays, highlights, interviews, all types of stuff from around the DMV, make sure to check us out at dmvstream.com.
dmvstream.com, the Mid-Atlantic's leader in sports video, broadcasting, and live streaming. Contact us today to learn more about our services and streaming packages. Visit us on the web at dmvstream.com. That's dmvstream.com.